Oh, yeah, I'm on time today. I am on time. No complaining here. I am on time, but rarely. I know. Come on in, guys. One and all. Great to see you. Yeah, I'm excited. Believe it or not, I'm pissed. Actually, I'm really mad. I'm mad in a fired up kind of way, which I'll get into throughout today. We're being played. The data is coming in. The more and more the data comes in, the more and more most of our side is concluding we're getting played as we speak right now. We're getting played like fiddles as we speak, like penny whistles. I don't know. Come on in, one and all. We'll talk about it today in our live stream. Live stream Friday here, guys. I'm your host, Dr. Steve Turley, your Patriot Professor, here to help you think better so you can feel better in these crazy and insane and turbulent times that the Republican establishment, together with the Democrat establishment, together with the lamestream media, are doing everything they possibly can to hold on to power as it does eventually slip through their fingers. So make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button if you have not already done so. My, oh my, gang. We have got so many things here. I've got tons. I've got two computers right in front of me, just of all this cool stuff, all this data. We have so much to talk about today. Super chats are up, so send me your questions, comments too. We did a special live stream on Wednesday night, and I think for a lot of us, we just needed to vent. We just needed to express our hearts and what we were feeling, myself included. And so if you just want me to read off something, you just want to make a comment, and you want to say it to thousands of people, and by all means, thousands live, tens and if not hundreds of thousands later on today to watch this recording, go right ahead. I'll be happy to read whatever comments you have. Josh is our moderator, so I'll be answering any questions you have, reading your comments. Say whatever you want to get off your chest in this absolutely bizarre week. And I am going to tell you straight off, I'm smelling a rat. I almost renamed this live stream because of, again, all the data that I'm reading that's coming in. We are definitely smelling a rat here. This is starting to explain a lot. Thank you, Eric. I will definitely get you... get to your question at the end here. And this rat that I'm smelling is starting to explain a lot of what's going on here. I want to start with a piece by Dr. Gina Loudon of the National Pulse. It's very good. It's called "The Uniparty Needs You to Believe There Was No Trump-Led Red Wave. It is a lie. And here's why they're doing it." It is a very good, I think she makes a frankly breathtaking argument for why the Republican establishment, together with the Democrat establishment and the legacy media, are doing everything they possibly can right now to convince you that the midterms were a disaster. Right? This is the Karl Rove kind of, Murdoch, Fox News paradigm of the Republicans blew it. All the polls showed a massive red wave on the horizon. And in the end, all we got was the red trickle, the little red tinkle. And the real heroes of the night were the fearless Democrats who rose up like no one imagined and fortified their gains from 2020 and fended off any and all Republican challenges. Sound familiar? And so how do we account for this? How do we account for this debacle? Well, we need look no further than that narcissistic, braggadocious, big lie purveyor, Donald J. Trump. In fact, on Wednesday morning, the shameless globalists over at the Wall Street Journal, who love Biden, by the way. They love Pelosi. They love Schumer. They don't care who's in power, just as long as they stay in power. These shills at the Wall Street Journal already had their hit piece ready to go for Wednesday morning blaming Trump for electoral disaster after electoral disaster after electoral. They blamed him for the loss of the House in 2018, even though Republicans gained seats in the Senate. Trump was only the 5th president in history to see his party gain seats. They blamed him for the loss of 2020, even though Republicans came within just about 5 or 6 seats of retaking the House. They gained seats. They blamed him for the loss of the 2021 Georgia runoff, even though it involved 2 of the worst possible Republican candidates imaginable. And now they're blaming him for this disaster of 2022. Well, Dr. Gina over at the National Pulse ain't having any of it. Let's start with what more and more pundits are starting to recognize, okay? Starting to. Interesting, like, it's very interesting how they waited to start saying this. More and more pundits are recognizing that the GOP undeniably racked up huge wins on Tuesday. You want to see one of the headlines from The Atlantic that just came out? Why the red wave hit New York. Inflation, crime, and redistricting tinted a blue state red. If you find these, now of course you're not hearing this in the media, the larger media, the broadcast media, but if you dig, you're going to find plenty of articles that recognize there were huge wins on Tuesday for the GOP. And not only that, but every day since, with our Pony Express election system, third world banana republic election system, every day since we're learning of more and more victories, particularly in the House races. Now, that's key to much of the disappointment that's going on here, gang. And I talked about this in yesterday's video. In the era of mail-in ballots, for right or for wrong, for good or for evil, all right? We're just going to we have to be realists here. In the era of mail-in ballots, we are officially robbed of the spectacle enjoyment of midterm elections, or even presidential elections for that matter. Right? I talked about it yesterday. I could still remember back in 1994. It was the first election I really followed. It was the first election I voted in. Right? The Gingrich Revolution. 1994. I remember Dan Rather just sitting there was at his desk with his hand shaking, saying, "We now have confirmation that the Republicans are poised to take the House. The Republicans are poised to take the House." It was so invigorating, so thrilling. That was around 10:30 at night. We knew back in the good old days when we knew how to count, when we had an education system that still taught us math, we knew who the winner was within hours of the polls closing. You know, like Brazil does, like France does, like Rwanda does, like any other nation does. But now that's over. And the spectacle of the election, the enjoyment, the allure of watching the returns has been robbed from us. Election day is gone. Welcome to election month, for heaven's sakes. And it's an absolute international embarrassment. What's happening in Arizona right now is an international embarrassment. It's all orchestrated. It's not a single major Republican leader who's standing up against it. Katie Hobbs is counting her opponent's votes. Let that hit you. Let that effing hit you. Katie Hobbs, the current Secretary of State, is counting her opponent's votes. I'm getting messages from people all over the freaking world asking me, what the hell is going on with the U.S. election system? We get our elections done within hours of the polls. We certainly don't have an opponent, a gubernatorial, in this case, gubernatorial candidate, counting her own, in charge of her opponent's vote. And the answer is it's all by design. The establishment wants us discouraged and disparaged. The establishment wants us demoralized and despondent. That's just the beginning of the rat I'm smelling. I'm just getting warmed up. Oh, we're going to have fun today. We are going to have fun. Keep in mind, you got Katie Hobbs, the current Secretary of State of Arizona, in charge of an election she's in, and every Republican leader and Democrat leader and legacy media outlet are all like, that's cool. Yeah, that's her job. That's cool. We're not getting involved. That's cool. But as the dust of disillusionment starts to clear, we're beginning to get an explicit pattern of how undeniably big the GOP wins were and are, continue to be, and the rat that's behind some of the sabotage that's going on here. Let's start with the obvious. The GOP is going to take the House. It looks like that's inevitable. Okay, we did a video yesterday on the latest 5 flips that have given the Republicans a net margin of 16. So if you don't know, the race is to 218. Whoever gets to 218 first, as it were, wins. Republicans now officially have 211 seats. They only need 7. Democrats are way behind. They have only 192. So obviously there's still, to their everlasting shame, there's still contests getting counted. But virtually all pundits now agree, Democrat, Republican, they now agree we are looking at a Republican-controlled House. The question now is just by how much. Now, we have to realize that with that, we've got to stop. We're in a war, right? Okay? We've just launched an offensive, and now we're doing some recon and assessment, okay? We have to realize that with that, with taking the House, the Biden regime has officially been brought down legislatively. Let that hit you. The Biden regime has lost officially legislatively. We have won the legislative battle. It wasn't pretty, but we won. This is the second election in a row where the Democrats have lost the seats in the House they gained in 2018. They lost 15 in 2020. We're going to find out how much they lose in 2022, but it's already guaranteed they have lost. It's just a question by how much. So the battle to stop Biden legislatively has been won. The battle to stop Biden legislatively has been won. The Biden era is over from doesn't matter what happens in the Senate. I am just as freaked out about what's going on in the Senate, particularly in Arizona, Nevada. Well, yeah, and then forget a lot. One of them will win. Yeah. Shabaka, or God help us, Murkowski. So that's why we have 49 Republicans already kind of set in the Senate. But we could lose the Senate outright. You got to let this hit you. We can lose the Senate outright. It is totally irrelevant to the legislative agenda of Biden. Biden's legislative agenda has now been stopped. Biden is going to have to rule according to EOs, executive orders, and the courts have been shutting them down left and right. And why are the courts shutting them down left and right? Because Donald Trump transformed the judiciary. Don't you effing ever forget that. Because Trump appointed more judges in his single term than most of his recent predecessors combined were able to appoint. So we, as of Tuesday, effectively ended the legislative rule of the Biden regime, and because of the amazing recalibration of the courts around the conservative Federalist Society via one Donald J. Trump, any and all of Biden's EOs are getting shut down left and right. So I think Biden is through. I mean, there's still plenty of mess he can get in. But at least for the next 2 years, this clown has been shut down. What's even better is now Jim Jordan and Marjorie Taylor Greene and Matt Gaetz all have subpoena power. And they have already said it's non-negotiable. They're going after Hunter Biden. They're going after the Biden crime family. They're going after the FBI. They're going after Biden's sellouts to China and Ukraine. So why, as one of our viewers put it on Wednesday night on our live stream, our special live stream, to just kind of vent and just kind of talk some stuff through, and he put it beautifully. We won, but we didn't get justice. We won, but we didn't get justice. Isn't that beautiful? That hit so home to me. We won, but we didn't get justice. We didn't crush them. We got the majority, but we didn't make it hurt. Okay. We have to remember that while we didn't get the justice we wanted in that massive majority, we got the majority. And when that's all we need is one extra seat, that's it. And then we get all of the oversight committees. We get all of the blocking power, okay? So that we have to remember that no matter what happens in the Senate, we won, okay, no matter what. But then, and then by the way, the Democrats are toast in 2024 when it comes to the Senate. The vast majority of seats that were up for re-election or up for bids, Senate always has 30% of its seats up every 2 years, if I recall. Vast majority of that were Republicans. Republicans were defending 17 seats. It was huge, and it looks like we lost one. Okay, well, yeah, we've lost one. That's it. Of those 17, we lost one. That's pretty good. It's pretty darn good. We obviously want to gain, but in 2024, it's the opposite. It's the Democrats are going to have to be defending 17 seats. So the Democrats are going to be up inordinately for re-election in the Senate. So this is part of the rat that Dr. Gina is smelling here. Something's going on here between the Republican establishment, Democrat establishment that is very worried about 2024. But then, like we talked about on yesterday's video, it went beyond even just the congressional elections. We had several massive statewide victories. Republicans now have more. You've got to let this hit you. Those of you think Donald Trump cost us the election. Guys, Republicans now have more supermajorities, more veto-proof state legislature majorities in both chambers of the legislatures in more states than ever before. That's what I meant the next day when I said red states got redder. And more, we have more trifectas than ever before. That's where you have Republicans owning the governorship plus both chambers of the legislature. 23 states right now are Republican trifectas. We got supermajorities in both chambers in Florida. In North Carolina's Senate, we got it, and we fell short of just one seat of a supermajority in their House. Republicans won a supermajority in Montana for the first time in their legislative history. And by the way, shame on Montana for that referendum. That was disgusting. Your voters, you should be ashamed of yourself. You vote against saving the life of a child, whatever it was, stillborn or survival of abortion. You say no, go ahead and kill it. Disgusting. You should be ashamed of yourself. I don't care if you're MAGA country. You're not MAGA country. I don't care about your Republican supermajorities if you're going to be that immoral and that vile. Sorry, I need to say a little something to our Montana voters on that one. There's a couple of, I read some explanations on it that it might have been our fault in terms of the way we wrote the referendum, but shame on you for such a vile display of immorality and frankly, cowardice on that point. Stand up for what's good. I know it takes courage. That's what makes Jordan Peterson so amazing. Stand up for what's good. Stop always buckling under the politically correct pressure. They only have power as long as we let them have power. I digress. Republicans expanded their supermajorities in Kentucky. In Kentucky, Democrats are basically becoming extinct. Republicans own 80% of Kentucky's legislature. It's just stunning. Iowa and West Virginia, they both went. We have to remember, Iowa and West Virginia were once solid blue states. Iowa voted for Dukakis in 1988. Between 1988 and 2012, I forget, or 1992 and 2012, I forget what the stat is. They voted for seven Democrats out of 8 presidential elections. Iowa is now a supermajority Republican state. Iowa's totally Republican. All of their senators, all of their representatives, their governor, their state senate, their state house, attorney general. They finally got rid, I think it was an attorney general, was a Democrat who was there for 40 years. They finally got rid of him. West Virginia, West Virginia, again, the Robert Byrd, right? Rockefeller, Jay Rockefeller. I mean, they were all Democrats. That's what Manchin is. He's a holdover from their Democrat days. They both have huge Republican supermajorities. Ohio, which was once a swing state, voted for Obama twice. They have Republican supermajorities, down ticket all the way through J.D. Vance, all that. These states are gone for the Democrats for the foreseeable future. They're gone. We also we had massive victories with taking Congress. We have massive victories at state levels. We also had massive victories at the judiciary level. In Ohio, Republicans swept all 3 contested seats for their state Supreme Court, giving them for the first time a conservative majority. And the races weren't even close. The Republicans blew the Democrats out of the water. In North Carolina, we talked about this, Republicans swept their Supreme Court races as well and flipped what was up until Tuesday, a radically left Supreme Court, state Supreme Court in North Carolina. North Carolina Supreme Court is now solidly conservative. Moreover, the Federalist is reporting that all 4 judges running for seats in the North Carolina Court of Appeals crushed their Democrat opponents. Again, you just have to let all of this seep in and then ask, is the explanations that the New York Post and Fox News and other Murdoch-owned outlets making any sense? I don't know what's going on with Daily Wire. I think Daily Wire is just becoming another establishment mouthpiece at this point. But are there explanations making any sense in light of this? This is all huge. You have to understand this is huge for the continued conservative transformation of our national legal system, which in the end is the ultimate deciding factor on what laws are allowed to stand. And Biden is learning that the hard way, especially when it came to his student loan, buyout or give out that just got shot down by a federal judge. So we got the House. We got more Republican state supermajorities than ever. We flipped a number of state Supreme Courts and judiciaries, and we also flipped lots of school boards across the nation. Kansas now has a 7-3 conservative Republican majority for the state's Board of Education after 4 conservative candidates swept their elections. We saw the same sweeps in Texas for their state Board of Education. In Michigan, the Brandywine Board of Education flipped after 4 conservative candidates backed by the 1776 Project all won their elections. We saw the same thing in Florida. We saw the same thing in North Carolina as well. And to make it even sweeter, we stampeded the 2 darlings of the Democratic Party. They were the future of the Democratic Party. They were future presidential contenders that were going to galvanize the youth vote. Stacey Abrams and Beto O'Rourke were crushed. They were humiliated. It wasn't even just that. There was a 4th J6 committee member who's now gone. She lost her reelection. Virginia Democratic Congresswoman Elaine Luria. She lost to the Republican Jennifer Kiggins. We can forget, by the way, that as of this week, right, given, we just pick up those few more seats we need to get to that magic 2018, the J6 committee is officially dead. It's over. That international embarrassment, that banana republic kangaroo court is finally done. It's over. We also saw one of the highest ranking Democrats go down, Democrat Congressional Campaign Committee Chair Sean Patrick Maloney in New York. He lost his reelection bid as part of that New York red wave, New York's 17th Congressional District. He lost to Mike Lawler, the Republican. Maloney's loss is the first time a House campaign committee chair, a campaign committee chair, he couldn't even win his own seat. It's the first time one has lost since 1992. So all of this is to say that even if nothing else changes from here on in, barring us getting to our 2018, it was a very, very impressive sweep of wins. Whatever happens in the Senate, we defended. I think we had 17 seats to defend. We defended 16 successfully. Whatever happens, nothing changes the fact that we took the House, given the current count. We took the House, we racked up state supermajorities, we flipped a number of state Supreme Courts and judiciaries, we flipped a number of school boards, and we crushed a number of Democrat all-stars. So with all of that said, what on earth is all this banter about Trump? Explain it to me. Put it in the chat. Put it in the comments. We got our super chats up. Explain it to me. I'll be getting your questions, but maybe I just need to get your explanations because it don't make sense. In case anyone needs reminding, who wants to take a guess? Who knows it? How many of Trump's endorsements won? Who knows the percentage? And then why don't we put that up against Biden's and Obama's? How many of Trump's endorsements won? Put it in the chat. You guys are awesome. I love you guys. Look at you. Look, you guys, you're fired up too. I can see it. It's time to fight. We know it. It's time to fight. If the party of freaking Walter Mondale can come back, I mean, come on, guys. The party of McGovern can come back. Come on. Let's get fired up here. Thank you, Storm. I caught that one. Thank you. Thank you, dear. Yes, I'm seeing it 95%, 80%, please. 94, you got it. He endorsed 235 races. Trump endorsed 235 candidates. 219 won. 93% success rate. I'll put that record up against I'll put that record up against Karl Rove. I'll put that record up against Bumbling Biden, Obama, McConnell, you name it. Name me one other major public figure out there that has an endorsement success rate of a plus 90% in the midterms. So what the frick is going on here? I return to our piece. This is where Dr. Gina Loudon over at the National Pulse, I think, is so helpful here. She makes an excellent point. Here's what she said. I think it just kind of recalibrates everything for us. Imagine this scenario. Imagine it's Tuesday night. All the votes are coming in. Florida, boom. North Carolina, boom. Whoa, New York. Lee Zeldin does better than any Republican since George Pataki in 30 years. Long Island's 4 representatives are all now officially Republican. We flipped 2 of the seats. It was 50-50. Now Long Island's full red. We're seeing all these pickups. We're seeing, as we saw with that committee chair, Democrat committee chair, all the pickups are coming out of New York. This is amazing. Hochul, yeah, well, she scraped by, but the skin of her teeth just by a few points. Lee Zeldin, great job. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, it's going. Oh, wait, what's going on? Freaking Fetterman. Are you kidding me? What the hell's going on in Pennsylvania? We got to find out what the heck's going on. Ooh, Texas, boom, awesome. Kentucky, boom, super majority, 80% Republican, amazing. Keep going, guys. Excellent. Montana, whoa, excellent. Oklahoma, awesome. Utah, Mike Lee, you're great. Now, this is all going on. Imagine that the returns from Nevada and Arizona were counted as quickly as Florida. What would that night have been like? Nevada and Arizona are counted as quickly as Florida and Texas. How would you be feeling on Wednesday morning? More importantly, what the hell would CNN be forced to be talking about on Wednesday morning? What would those sneering CNN anchors be forced to talk about if the results from Arizona and Nevada came in just as fast as Florida and Texas? Would they be able to deny the efficacy of a Trump-led wave in the face of those champagne bottles popping all across MAGA country? Don't fall for it. Don't fall for what's going on here. orchestrated by Karl Rove and McConnell and McCarthy and McDaniel, all the Macs. Don't fall for it. Democrat Katie Hobbs is in charge of counting her opponent's votes. Are you surprised we don't have the results yet? Dr. Gina says it perfect. This slow walking isn't an accident. It's not a bug. It's not part of the process. Democrats know that if they lose those Arizona races, Trump will get all the credit. That was the most MAGA heavy race in the nation. Mark Fincham, Blake Masters, Kerry Lake, MAGA to the core. It was imperative for the establishment, led by Katie Hobbs, to withhold the biggest red wave wins of the night so the media could push the red trickle shit. And shame on the Republicans who are playing along with this. Think about it. Where's the Republican establishment right now on Katie Hobbs, the Secretary of State of Arizona, refusing to recuse herself on overseeing the election, where she's one of the candidates and she gets to count her opponent's votes? How on earth could counting a few 100,000 votes take a week to do? Where's Mitch McConnell? Where's Ronna McDaniel? Where's Karl Rove? Where are they? Where's the entire Fox News establishment? Just do a little counterfactual here. What if this were happening in Texas? What if Texas suddenly decided to slow down votes that had Beto O'Rourke tied with, say, Ted Cruz or whoever he's running against this year? Greg Abbott, right? Beto O'Rourke, the future of the Senate hangs in the balance. Beto O'Rourke's tied with Ted Cruz against all possibilities and so forth, bucking all trends. But Texas officials have decided that we're going to wait till next week to release the result. What would CNN and MSNBC and ABC and CBS doing right now 24/7? They would be claiming this represents the single greatest crisis in the history of American democracy. But because this involves MAGA folk like Kerry Lake, Blake Masters, Mark Fincham, no one in the establishment media, no one in the establishment Republican Party, no one in the establishment Democrat, no one, including Fox, gives a rip. Don't fall for this. On top of this all, Dr. Gina argues, again, this is the Uniparty needs you to believe there was no Trump-led red wave. It's a lie, and here's why and how they're doing it. It's on the National Pulse. Excellent article. Couldn't recommend it more, but you're basically getting it here with my particular panache. On top of it all, Dr. Gina Loudon argues, I think she's absolutely right on this. Gang, and I know from the inside on this, it was the Republican establishment that torpedoed Doug Mastriano's campaign in Pennsylvania, and they ended up torpedoing Dr. Oz's campaign in the process. They worked with the Democrats to defeat Mastriano. Okay, that's McConnell. Okay, that's McDaniel. That's the powers that be. They deliberately, that's the Republican the Governors Association. They deliberately defeated Mastriano and handed Shapiro the victory. I know from inside information that there was a board member of Dr. Oz's campaign who was funneling money to Josh Shapiro, Doug Mastriano's Democrat candidate. They guaranteed that Festerman and Shapiro would win. They guaranteed it. They torpedoed that because they know that that Trump is incredibly popular in Pennsylvania. He's +7 right now in all the polls over Biden. They know he's incredibly popular, and they do not want to have happen again what has been happening, and that is Pennsylvania flipping. The Alabama part of Pennsylvania, right? It's Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, and everything in between is Alabama. That Alabama part came out in droves for Trump, and they do not want Mastriano in charge of the elections in Pennsylvania in 2024. They want Biden. The establishment wants Biden again. You've got to let this hit you. They deliberately torpedoed MAGA candidacies in order to maintain their own power. And on top of that, they did nothing to counter the Democrat tactical strategy of tapping into ballots over voters. Remember, votes are cast, ballots are filled out, and they're fundamentally different. The Republican establishment did nothing to counter the massive gains that came from the ballots over and against Election Day votes. And they did nothing to get out the rural vote. The rural vote that was so instrumental to 2016, 2020. The last person the rural vote was going to come out for was Dr. Oz. And most of them didn't even know there was, not to be a jerk, but didn't even know there was a midterm. So they didn't even know who to vote for because Mastriano had no money. Mastriano was outspent 50-1. And that's, by the way, the pattern for the rest of the races. We were outspent 3-1. Mitch was horrible with money. McConnell was horrible with money. McCarthy was horrible with money. Right? McDaniel was horrible with money. And so, in the name of deflection on the one hand, so they keep their own power, and in the name of keeping the power structure, the status quo in place in 2024, they're trying to take out the one person that can blow up both, and that's Donald Trump. Dr. Gina ends her article noting here that, like I mentioned, we had a really tough Senate fight in 2022 because 30% of Senate seats are up every 2 years, and the vast majority of them were Republican. We had to defend a lot of seats. But in 2024, it's going to be the exact opposite. The Democrats are going to have to disproportionately defend their seats. And they're going to have weak and even weaker, feebler Biden dragging down every Democrat on the ticket. We've got Kyrsten Sinema. We've got in Arizona, John Tester. In Montana, Joe Manchin, West Virginia, who may not even run again. That'll be a huge pickup. Jackie Rosen in Nevada. Tammy Baldwin in Wisconsin. Bob Casey in Pennsylvania. All of those are potential pickups with Trump at the top of the ticket in 2024 to pull MAGA candidates across the finish line and flip those seats red, particularly in West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Arizona, Wisconsin, Montana. You have to let this hit you. No one else in the Republican Party has an endorsement rate as successful as Donald Trump's. Not the idiots that are talking on Fox, that's for sure. And no one can galvanize the rural vote that can so overwhelm the urban cosmopolitan vote like Trump has repeatedly demonstrated he can do. That is what the freaking establishment is freaking out over. This is not about Trump. This is about them. 2022 was all about them. So let's not fall for their ridiculous shenanigans. Mitch McConnell, Karl Rove, Rupert Murdoch are not our friends. They're the complete opposite, which means they're the last person on earth we should be listening to. I feel better. Over to you, gang. It's your turn now. You get the platform. Before, as I'm going, Josh, our moderator is setting up your questions, your comments. Remember, I do have lots of free giveaways for all of you in celebration of our hitting a 1 million subscriber mark this week. Click on the link below. You're going to get 2 of my books, The Return of Christendom and The New Nationalism, 2 of my favorite books, absolutely free as ebook downloads. You're also going to get my special blueprints available for you. Again, they're all absolutely free. I've got my fake news antidote, a compilation of my favorite go-to Patriot news sources. We've got how to build your own Patriot ecosystem, which is a list of parallel businesses and institutions in finance and big tech and alt media and entertainment for all kinds of Patriot-friendly alternatives to the woke corporations out there. Lots more. Just click on the link below. Enjoy. It's all free, all a gift, just to celebrate a wonderful week where I appreciate you just so much for all that you've made this channel to be. So God bless. All right, let's get to these questions and comments. Whatever you guys want to say, I will read it. Again, if you need to say something, I mean, as long as it's not like, horribly vulgar and so forth. But if you need to just get something off your chest, me platform, sous platform, this is your chance. I'll be happy to read it for you. We did that Wednesday night. I think that was really good for all of us. I think we felt a lot better after we were kind of able to just kind of talk some of this stuff through. So let's start off from the top. Eric Echevarria, why is no one talking about the North Carolina Supreme Court and the effects it'll have on redistricting? I think I answered that for you today, right, Eric? Because it takes away from the narrative that, Trump, right? They're just trying to hold on to their power, so they don't care. North Carolina will take care of itself. Good. Yeah, all right, fine. But we got to stop Trump. And that, of course, takes it away from that narrative. It was what happened in North Carolina yesterday or Tuesday was huge. It was gigantic. Remember, North Carolina's a purple state. For how long? North Carolina voted for Obama in 2008. North Carolina is as purple as they come. It oscillates Democrat and Republican. And now they have a Republican supermajority in their Senate, and they're just one seat away from their House. And now they have a Republican supermajority on what was, up until Tuesday, one of the most liberal, left-wing, nutty Supreme Courts in the nation. I forget when it came. I forget when that flip happened. It must have been 2018, or it could have gone back to 2008, and it just kind of got repeated over and over. So huge, absolutely. Walalos, are you going to talk about what's happening in Brazil? Yeah, well, I'm trying. The hard part with all of this stuff, Walalos, is, and I did do a video on Brazil last week, so you want to check up on that and kind of what's behind it, what's going on there, particularly with the way the Lula-dominated Supreme Court is kind of messing with things there. But I'll have to just get back into touch with what's going on there, what's going on in Russia, Ukraine, Kherson, and all that. So, unfortunately, it's just I can only do so much. So I will at some point. Is Trump more motivated for red or blue bases? Trump more motivating for red or blue bases? Definitely red, insofar as red has stolen from blue. So what we have to understand, what happened with Trump and how he realigned politics, was the same thing that happened with Brexit. And interestingly enough, the UK is going through a very similar problem that we're going through right now. What you had is a mass defection of what was, up until then, the traditional historical base of the left, which is the white working class labor voter. Okay. They have always traditionally overwhelmingly voted left, not because they were morally left or socially left, but they were more economically left. And not even that, it was just, there was the promise, there was the alignment that was created between, say, the FDR forces here and Labour Party across UK, that they felt they could build a governing coalition on the working class. The working class was the predominant, in a sort of post-industrial, increasingly post-industrial society. The working class was still the dominant demographic that they can build a governing majority on. Now, of course, that working class has shrunk over the years as we're getting more into a technocratic society. But nevertheless, that was the way the left had relied on governing power. That constituency has, by and large, almost totally abandoned the left, and it's moved to the right. But it doesn't trust the Republicans any more than it trusts the Tories in the UK. It doesn't trust the Republicans, but it does trust Trump. It trusts Trump. And so what Trump did, what I think he did very well, is he went and he held his rallies, galvanized the vote as best he could. But there had to be a get out the vote campaign in those rural working class areas to try to get them to trust us as much as they trust Trump. And yes, that's a tall order to do. That was a tall order, no question. We're hoping for it, and so forth. And then Doug had no money. He was outspent 50-1. He had no ground game that could galvanize that vote the way they needed to galvanize it without a Trump. Now, if Trump's running, that's the galvanizing. So Trump galvanizes, I would say, so I'll re-answer your question. Trump galvanizes the blue more than red, but he causes a major constituency of the blue to cross over. Keep in mind, too, that Latinos voted for Republicans more this time around than ever. 40% of Latinos voted Republican. That's insane. That's nuts. And that keeps going up every year. Forget Cubans in Florida, Cubans, Venezuelans, and so forth. Forget. It's now like 70%, 80% Republican. But Latinos across the board, Mexicans, Puerto Ricans, and so on and so forth, Guatemalans, they're starting more and more and more go towards the traditionalist values of the Trumpian Republican Party, but they don't trust Republicans. That's the key. They don't trust McConnell. They don't trust McCarthy. They don't trust McDaniel any more than we do. So it's a tall order to get them to vote outside of Trump on the ticket. That's the key, and that's why they don't want him. He's the biggest danger to the establishment in 2024. Mitchell. Hey, Mitchell. Mitchell Ryan, do you think they will be successful in dividing Trump and DeSantis? It remains to be seen. I don't. I think DeSantis is smart, and I think a Trump-DeSantis ticket is the key to uniting the party. Bayo, could Trump fighting with DeSantis be a ruse to prepare for a Trump-DeSantis ticket? It would secure the executive branch for Republicans for the next 12 years. I think you're onto it. I hope so. I hope that's the way Trump is thinking. I hope the way Trump is thinking is, dude, don't try. The inside baseball that I got from listening to Robert Barnes is the deal has already been made. The Trump-DeSantis ticket has already been made. What the powers that be seem to want to be doing is split that. And Trump is pushing back on that attempt to split with his smack talk on DeSantis saying, dude, you are what you are because of me. Don't forget, you won in 2018 with less than 1% of the vote. And then you took on a full MAGA agenda and now won with 20% of the vote. Dude, let's team up. Let's not go against each other. Absolutely. Polia, thank you so much for the gift. Tandalea, everyone is freaking out about Trump attacking DeSantis. It's just Trump theater. It's just for dummy credit. I'm with you. I think most of it is just theater at this point. I wouldn't read too much into it. I think it's AstroTurf. Alma Williams, thank you for your gift. Gabriel Bungay, what are your thoughts on Texas' margins for the governor? Smaller than 2018. And what do you think this means for the margin in 2024, President? No, Texas is solid red. I wouldn't worry about it. Again, the question is, how do you galvanize and bring out the vote in general? Abbott Abbott won, but let's be blunt. Abbott is your establishment Republican figure. He's not a hard. That's what Texas has to deal with. They have hardcore rhino Republicans, and that Democrats have learned if you can't win in solid red states, then you run as a Republican, and then you just become a rhino, Republican name only, or Diablo, which I prefer Democrat and all but label. Now, Abbott isn't that bad, but he's not that great either. So I don't think Abbott is the most inspiring candidate to begin with. But Beto O'Rourke was such a joke that it was easy for them to come out. So I don't think we have to worry about it. Texas has been getting deeper and deeper red thus far. If there are signals, we'll take a look at it. Do you think Kelly will get a 50% plus one? Oh, Shabaka, yeah, in Alaska and avoid the runoff with the 20%? What are chances of? I don't, we've still got this whole strange what is it called? Ranked choice system in Alaska. I'll be darned if I can even wrap my mind around it. Kelly seems like she was doing well. This is part of what makes Mitch McConnell such a snake, is he was pouring money into that race on behalf of Lisa Murkowski, who's also running as a Republican. So even though Shabaka got the nomination, so he was actually censored by the Alaska Republican Party. So we'll see what happens in Alaska. Either way, we're going to have a Republican, but definitely we want Shabaka over Murkowski any day. Eaters of the Dead here in Utah, Salt Lake County, on their own website, we had only had 44% of registered voters vote. Why was the Republican vote so dismal? I don't know. It's a very good question in terms of turnout. But in the end, one of the arguments is that there really was no exciting theme to hold the election together. So Andy McCarthy's attempt to try to recast the contract with America and that stupid little whatever it was that nobody knows about or anything was a total dud. And there was nothing to kind of galvanize the vote. Nothing at all. Having said that, there were amazing gains, incredible gains. So that goes to show the strength of the Republican majority. Eaters of the Dead, again, I heard that Sean Reyes is going to challenge Romney, and I heard Jason Chavez might challenge Progressive Cox, in Utah for governor, huh? Can you confirm? I can't. I don't have any insight on that, but anything to get rid of Romney and Cox, anything would be great. Storm J, thank you, Dr. Joe. Thank you, Storm J. Clown World, thank you. Thank God for Dr. Turley. Well, I can read these. Thank God. Watch, it'll be terrible. You sucked me in, right? Thank God for Dr. Turley for times like these when we need some copium. Attempts are trying to steal our victory. Don't allow these criminals to succeed. Well, I'm not trying to give you copium, that's for sure. But I'm with you. I mean, again, and where's the Republican establishment in all this? Why are they allowing Arizona to get away with this? Why are they allowing Katie Hobbs to count her own opponent's votes? I mean, it's absolutely disgusting. It's because they're snakes. They don't care. They don't want a MAGA red wave. They didn't want it. So they're actively trying to quell and defeat and torpedo campaigns so as to maintain their own power. Remember, it's not just about Democrats maintaining power. It's about rhino establishment Republicans maintaining power. That's the fight we're in. Hi. Let's see. Tom Greer. Hey, Tom. I wanted to crush the Dems too, Dr. Steve. Maybe some funny business still going on with the vote in some areas. Congratulations and million subs. Yep, Tom, I'm with you. Yeah, I mean, we're going to have to see. Hugh, and thank you for the congrats. It's because of you, Tom. Thank you. Hugh Jazz. Hi, Dr. Steve. Do you think Trump is playing into their hands by attacking DeSantis? I don't know. That's one theory. One theory is that he's got the wrong advisors around him, and he's picking a fight, and he's playing into the Democrats' hands. We'll see. We'll see how it fleshes out. Deborah, but again, in the end, I don't think it changes anything. Trump runs. Trump gets the nomination. Trump conquers. I mean, I think that's what we're going to be seeing. Deborah R. But I would prefer to see Trump DeSantis conquer because I think, like you said, that's going to set, or it was said, that's going to set up Republican dominance for the next 12 years. Deborah, the media wants to set up Trump to fail running in 2024. Absolutely. Absolutely. No question. Dawn, how do we know we have the House if not decided yet? How do we know they're not going to try to do something in the last minute 3 a.m. to steal the House? Well, we don't, Dawn. We don't. Absolutely. And it is concerning. But you need 218 to win, and we're at 212 right now. Democrats, or 211, 212. Democrats are at 192. So the shenanigans, I think, would be pretty obvious. So even Democrat outlets like CBS, NBC, New York Times, they're all betting odds, all that. They're all seeing it like 80%, 90% done deal. The Republicans getting the House, but we'll see. We'll see. Keep it in prayer. Of course, let's keep it in prayer. Let's be responsible with that. Generalissimo liberty. We have to fight those losers. Amen. Hugh Thomas. The advancement and diffusion of knowledge is the only guardian of true liberty. James Madison, father of the Constitution. One more time, because that's beautiful. The advancement and diffusion of knowledge is the only guardian of true liberty. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. There's such an interesting connection between liberty and virtue. And virtue was one of the key virtues is intellectual virtues. key connection between liberty and virtues, the heart of maintaining a republic. I love that. Dead already. Why does Trump badmouth DeSantis? He supports Trump and knows what he's done for him. Many blessings. Yeah, no, I think it's just a little theater at this point. I wouldn't worry about it too much. Denny, 1985, thank you. Stephen Taylor, thank you so much. Acior, would you go on Timcast IRL? Oh, sure. I love Timcast. Love Timcast. Timcast is wonderful. Love what he's doing. He's doing great work. I do, in many ways, see him as a kind of Joe Rogan figure. He's found his niche with that IRL. I think the IRL, I mean, I've always liked his videos, but it's the IRL and the guests and the interaction he has at nighttime, live stream. It's awesome. I'm a big fan. Helicopter rides for communists. Ben Shapiro was the never-Trumper. That's true. 2016 was a huge never-Trumper. Had we listened to him, Hillary Clinton would be president. Don't forget that. Shapiro has some pretty bad track record of predicting elections and election outcomes and election consequences and all that. He has a video. And again, I'm not trying to rag Shapiro, but he has a video on how presidential elections back in 2016, presidential elections don't mean anything with the Supreme Court or something like that. So, yeah, I hear you. But again, I'm glad he's on our team, overall, but there's a little too much establishment in him. Garrett Urbaniak, thank you so much. Danette Wing, thank you so much. John Sakaro, Dr. Steve just tuned in. MAGA will triumph in the end. Establishment needs to go. F the rhinos. Fox News, traitors. God bless you and your work. Amen. Casper, please go to Timcast. All right, we got some Timcast fans here. I'd love to. We'll see what we can arrange there. Eaters of the Dead, this is your best damn show ever. All right, Eaters of the Dead, thank you, man. Yeah, that was, I was getting fired. Like I said, I almost renamed the live streams. I'm smelling a rat. Maybe I should have. I don't know, but I think it's important we focus on the awesome victories that we did get, regardless of what happens from now on, and then build on that as we start to think clearly about first what happened and where we can go from here. Margaret Dawson, thank you for your hard work. Thank you, Margaret. Thank you for being there. Oh, I just missed it. Sorry. Hold on, Garrett. Where did you go, Garrett? Sorry, guys. Sometimes it goes too fast for me. Garrett, yes. Sorry. Little dead air here. Eaters of the Dead, best damn show ever. I love that. Thanks, Eaters of the Dead. That's so cool. Sailing Star Catcher. Oh, I'm sorry, Garrett. There you are. Garrett Urbania. I wonder if we just start cheating as well. There you go. Sailing Star Catcher, the Republican Civil War to have right now isn't Trump versus DeSantis. It is us versus McConnell, McCarthy, McDaniel. You hit it on the head. You nailed it. Sailing Star Catcher for the win. I'll repeat it. The Republican Civil War to have right now is not Trump versus DeSantis. It is us. It is the rank and file, the grassroots versus McConnell, McCarthy, McDaniel. Amen. Josh Waldrop, Dr. Steve, I live in Georgia now. Me and a bunch of other people don't have to move. Everyone, please keep my state in your prayers that Herschel wins. Amen. Absolutely. Aaron Steele, do you think with us having control of the House and not the Senate that they will try to impeach Joe Biden? Probably. We'll see. We'll see how that plays out. They'll have to see if they have the votes for it, because if it's a slim margin now, Republicans are, there's a reason why rural folk don't trust Republicans. It's because they're not trustworthy. So there's plenty of, those wishy-washy Republicans like the 10 that voted for Trump's impeachment. 8 are gone now? I forget how many are gone now. 8 of the 10, 9 of the 10 are all gone. You're always going to have your wishy-washy Republicans who are they're in it just for the business model, just to make the money. And they won't ruffle any feathers. So we'll have to see. Centurion 84, as concerning as it is, could work out better in 2024. Or LT in that Cheney Pelosi out, but also a focus on outing McConnell types and tackling mail-in voting, which wouldn't have occurred with the 2022 red wave. Possible, that's right. I heard somebody else put it, at least now we still know who the enemies are, which is very good, and it's a very galvanizing force. Adam Bowman, I'm not surprised the GOP establishment sabotaged the more conservative candidates. They would rather have Dems than true conservatives. It's been that way since Lincoln. Amen, Adam. Well said. Charles Turner, Dr. Steve, thanks for putting out videos such as yesterday's that discuss GOP supermajorities. We must realize it's not going to be easy to wrest control away from the Illuminati, globalist goons. Amen. Dark Twilight 20, you think Ron DeSantis can compete with Trump and beat him in a primary? Nope. Not happening. Trump will bring out the rule vote like no one else. SW651, come on, Dr. Steve, you're an educated... Oh, God. Let me read this first. Oh, you're being sweet. Okay. I thought you're an educated person. You know Trump can't do it. I get that. I'm sorry. I'm in Delaware. I get this all the time. SW651. Come on, Dr. Steve. You're an educated person. Why do you refer to the Democratic Party as the Democrat Party as the Democratic Party? They never changed their name. Very true. I stand corrected. Absolutely. Eaters of the Dead. Again, demons are making a mockery of our voting system because they want to federalize elections. Good point. Just like they did with healthcare, the law with lawfare. Absolutely. I think you're absolutely right. HAB, President Trump is in the name. DeSantis can stay in Florida forever for all I care. Don't get distracted. Trump can't be bought. Well said, HAB. Fatal Money. I'm in Pennsylvania, and after this, I'm leaving Pennsylvania. I was thinking of moving to Pennsylvania. I'm not now. They've lost a lot of people I know who were ready to move to Pennsylvania with the Mastriano administration. And we're not going anywhere near Pennsylvania. I'm in PA. I'm leaving. Shapiro will cement mail-in votes in PA, make it a blue state forever, leave and starve the state from early voters. I also think the right will be too demoralized. What, 24? We'll see. We'll see on that. I mean, again, what Trump was able to do in 2016 was astonishing. And I think, again, in 2020 was astonishing with Pennsylvania. Nobody brought out the rural vote, that Alabama part of the vote of Pennsylvania like Trump. So we'll see. YB, what about Pennsylvania counting ballots with no dates, which the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, which is again, an international embarrassment, stated they could not do. Fetterman win illegal. Oz should have challenged it. Well, it's all... This is what we're going to have to do. There are two verticals being fought now in any election. It's not just voters. It's now ballots. It's not just voters. Voters vote. Ballots are filled out. And the Democrats have a very well-planned game plan in some areas, not all. Anywhere mail-in ballots have basically been cracked down on. Florida, North Carolina, Texas, Oklahoma, West Virginia, Tennessee, all that. Montana, Idaho, they can't do anything there. So those are solid red states for the foreseeable future. Anywhere mail-in ballot protocols have remained relatively unchanged since 2020, Democrats are killing it. And we have not adjusted. So that's what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to. And that's why, again, this whole, well, it's all Trump's fault. Or, oh, it was Roe v. Wade or whatever. It doesn't work. Because you have massive red waves, say, in New York, where Roe v. Wade is a sacrament, for heaven's sakes. And yet they had massive red waves there. Right? Whereas in Texas, where Roe v. Wade doesn't really matter because you have an overwhelming pro-life demographic, the Republicans' turnout, as we just saw, wasn't that great. You know, they still won overwhelmingly, but it wasn't that great. So it doesn't work. If Trump's a problem, why is New York going red? Right? It doesn't make sense. So what really does make sense in the end is the votes versus ballots. Votes versus ballots. We've been totally dependent on votes, people coming in and casting their vote on Election Day, whereas the Democrats are totally dependent on ballots. And if you're dependent on ballots, which get filled out and mailed in, who cares if you can put two words together? Who cares if you debate or not? Who cares? Your votes are already being tabulated as we speak, right? So that's the key. That's what we're going to have to deal with. Dionra, I'll for whoever the corrupt DNC GOP establishment doesn't endorse. I'm for. That's right. Me too. I'm with you. I think that's very right. Whoever Fox News and Karl Rove are pushing right now, or New York Post is pushing, do the opposite. You'll be good. How many Life of Brian? How many Republican voters understand this? What do we do about this? Particularly if McConnell and McCarthy remain leaders, is Tucker legit? More and more Republicans are understanding it, because more and more Republicans are turning it off and they're going to alt media. They're coming to channels like this. They're going to Timcast. They're going, they're done. They're going to Bannon. They're just done with the establishment information gatekeepers, including a lot Fox. We like Fox just when there's no election. Let's put it that way. I'll go. The third, Tucker, is totally legit. Tucker is a total populist, absolute populist, in my view. I don't know him personally, but from everyone that I do know who does know him, total populist, Trumpian populist. And then second, what do we do about this, particularly McConnell and McCarthy? I know we're going to have to eventually get rid of the Rhino Republican leadership. We're just going to have to. The establishment leadership is going to have to go, because they have actively sabotaged MAGA campaigns. And then they turn around and they turn around and deflect it by blaming Trump. And then the guys at Daily Wire go, yeah. So it's absurd. But anyway, Fatal Money. I'm in Pennsylvania. After this, I'm leaving. Okay, you gave it to me twice, or I read it twice. Sorry. Magellan 51. The difference between the Democratic Party and the Titanic is at least had a band. I love it. Julius Gallery, what if Hillary were Clintonized? Think about how high that would go. This is the person that rules the world. Democracy threat was big push. That's true. Very good point. Eaters of the Dead. We need to shame any state that takes longer than election night to count votes. If they happen to be all Democrat states and counties, then so be it. Absolutely. And the very fact that the Republican establishment is cool with this tells you everything you need to know. Why conservatives, Jamie, why conservatives like Crowder, Daily Wire, Candace, and others start to talk and attack President Trump? I don't know what's going on with, well, Candace is part of Daily Wire, so I don't know, so that may be influencing them. I don't know what's going on with Steve Crowder. I don't know there. I think that the establishment conservative media, so Fox, Wall Street Journal, New York Post, they pushed a blitzkrieg. I mean, absolute full court press of articles and commentary radically critical of Trump on Wednesday morning. And they're just picking up on that. So, and the narrative was, and I talked about this on Wednesday in my video, the narrative was, look, clearly, I mean, DeSantis came out as the massive winner. This is what we need. We need to turn the United States into Florida. You know, Florida's a very diverse population, but they want nothing to do with wokeness. They want total MAGA, patriot populism. And Ron DeSantis is the one who can galvanize it and bring it all together. And, you know, we got to understand that's good. I mean, I get it. But no one does MAGA better than Trump. And so you've got that inconvenient truth. So what do? Well, you blame all the losses on Trump. And then say, so DeSantis is the winner and Trump is the big loser. And then that's what the establishment Republican media pushed out. And it just seems Daily Wire started going with that. And I don't know if it's Stephen Crowder. So I think the more we reflect on what's happened, the more the data comes in, the more we're going to be like, that doesn't work. That just doesn't fit with the evidence. Then explain. Do you think DeSantis is why you had a red wave in New York? You think DeSantis is why you had a red wave in North Carolina? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Lee Zeldin not only got the Trump endorsement, he not only never backed away from the Trump endorsement, he embraced the Trump endorsement. Right? Nobody was running away from Trump and winning. Everybody ran away from him, lost. Right? Hello, O'Day, who was just a disaster of a candidate in Colorado. All right. Jonathan, Dr. Steve, will you be hosting a traveling Patriot speaker tour in 23? Would enjoy seeing your team in Charlotte, North Carolina. Jump on the Turley train. God bless. Yeah, Jonathan, we'll be doing some stuff in 23. We'll be doing some live events. We'll keep you updated on that. John Zaccaro, recommend you watch Milo Yiannopoulos. Okay. Oh, yes, he was on Tim Castle. I saw that last night. I didn't watch it, but I saw it on there. Recommend you watch the Milo Yiannopoulos on Timcast. Very insightful analysis. God bless you and all Turley Talks viewers. Thanks, John. I will. Absolutely. You know, again, I've always admired Milo. Milo is a very interesting person. You know, I think he embodies kind of this, has embodied this transition where the nation, the world is going through. And he's very much an advocate of retraditionalization and of course, you know, he's got his own issues and all that, but he's as do we all. So God bless Milo and God bless Tim. Jim Liu, thank you for the gift. Kevin shares, my angst regarding the election results was more about the large amount of people who are now morally okay with what was once considered wickedness. Yeah, I'm with you, trans, etc. I'm with you. I know. We're starting to see kind of the effects of wokeism in a pretty yucky way. It's not going to last, but the dark shadows that it's going to cast are going to be pretty dark for a while. I'm with you. I'm with you. Daniel Swanson, thank you for your gift. Tactical Sip, thank you for your gift. Arizona and Nevada are slow walking to count to get MAGA pissed off. MAGA don't fall for it. Amen, TW. Brock and Linville, how can you run on one ticket if they're from the same state? Brock, they can. Robert Barnes has talked about that, the lawyer. There's nothing. I forget what it is, but there's nothing that's going to stop DeSantis, Trump from running together. Trump, DeSantis, no, that was not a slip. Yvonne Bordages, sorry, get your gift. Get tactical, gave a gift. ACOR, oh, I'm sorry. Technical step. I missed you. Sorry, I'm not a huge DeSantis fan. He signed the red flag law into law. I do know he addressed it, but he did not remove them. Yeah, no, I'm with you. I mean, don't worry. What these guys don't get is DeSantis is going to get clobbered every bit as much as Trump. Whenever Trump's not in the news, do anti-Trumpers go away? Does the vitriol of the left go away? No. All of a sudden now Tucker is enemy number one. Right? Or all of a sudden DeSantis was enemy number one with the don't say gay bill and the Disney nonsense and the like. So make no mistake, they're taking out anyone and everyone who's associated with a populist revolt. And it's not going to work. We have to remember, just again, big picture here, gang. We have to remember, okay, that liberalism is basically dead. Liberalism is dying. This is the central thesis of the Dr. Steve Turley channel, right? Liberalism, modernist liberalism is dead. It is increasingly turning into woke neo-Marxism. I was actually just listening the other day to a very interesting interview with Yoram Hazony, the Israeli scholar, and more or less the founder of the national conservatism movement. And he's right. National conservatism is going to be the Republican Party at some point, as well as the Tories in the UK. But it's already happening in Europe in general. But he was arguing something very, very similar to this. Liberalism, good old-fashioned neoliberalism, you know, the Nancy Pelosi kind of stuff, Chuck Schumer, Clinton, Obama, that's just dead. It's dying. It's falling apart. And what's being replaced with is this woke neo-Marxism. Woke neo-Marxism, sickens even people who are center-left. So the new paradigm is going to be if old neoliberalism, and that includes neoconism, establishmentism is dying, and if it's on the left being replaced with a woke neo-Marxism, as we're seeing with creepy Gretchen and all that kind of stuff in Michigan, that's what's happening on the left. The vast majority of people are going to go to the right, and what does the right have to offer? If Bushite, globalist, neocon, neoliberalism is dead, what's the only option? You got it. The only option is MAGA nationalist populism. So that's sort of the thesis of what's ultimately happening here. And we're in a battle for the soul of the party in the sense that, no, the soul is there. It's intact. I take that back. I take that totally back. We're in the battle for the leadership of the party because the leadership is they're the Joe Manchins. They're the last remnants of the old guard. Joe Manchin's an old Democrat in a state that's 80% Republican. And so the old guard, the old neocon, globalist guard of establishment guard of McConnell and McCarthy and McDaniel, they're all just trying to cling on to power in a party that is 80% MAGA. And it's not going to last long. So, but until then, they're going to try to thwart. We're not just fighting Democrats. We're not just fighting Democrats. We're not just fighting media. We're fighting the establishment. And tell me, who's the one person that took them all on and won? And didn't just win. First Republican to win over 300 electoral votes since 1988, 30 years. And then ran for re-election, got more votes than any prior president in history. So, but no, it's all his fault. Doesn't make sense. All right. ACUR, I believe the biggest mistake was not answering the danger to our democracy line with a "we are a constitutional republic." Love it. I love it. I love it. Gosh, you guys are good. I had an interview yesterday about our demographics. You guys will like this. You ready for this? I had an interview yesterday about our audience. And I kid you not, the person who was asking me the question said immediately, "It seems like your audience is very well read." Your audience is very educated. They're very well read. And I'm like, yeah, that summarizes it. I mean, we're information junkies. We can't not be, right? So I think you got it. We are not a democracy. We are a constitutional republic. And you, Mr. Biden, are a danger to that constitutional republic. Well done. John Zaccaro, we need to start our own party that believes in M word, rhymes with Gaga. YouTube being difficult, not letting me word the way I want. God bless you. You got it, John. Well, here's the problem with starting our own party. So we start Patriot Party. We're still going to have to coalition. Unless we win outright majorities, we're going to still have to coalition with a Rhino Republican Party. So Trump's was a third-party candidate who got a major party nomination. So he's taking over very much what Viktor Orban did with the Fidesz party in Hungary, for example. So what I'd love to see someone like Nigel Farage, who was once of UKIP, do with the Tories. I'd love to see something like that. The key for, I think we should reflect on the success of now, then focus on solving the failures over the next 2 years, so that 2024 can be the crown jewel. Kiefer, I think you need to be a major advisor. Vicky Teen, Dr. Steve, what's up with Carrie Lake? And please go on Timcast. All right, get all these Timcast guys. I'd love to. Thank you, guys. Going on with Carrie Lake, the person who's counting her votes is her opponent, right? Katie Hobbs is the one. She's the Secretary of State in charge for counting the votes. And she's decided that 400,000 vote dump on Wednesday, the vast majority of which are all going to Carrie Lake, apparently, need to be counted over the course of about the next 8 days. So it's just, it's shenanigans upon shenanigans, and it's disgusting. In the end, Carrie Lake should win. She should win by a few points because the vast majority of that vote is election day vote. And all the votes that they've been dumping of late, have you noticed? All the votes they've been dumping are mail-in ballots of late. The last remaining mail-in votes. So they're trying to make it look like Katie Hobbs is growing. But once they start counting into all those election day votes, apparently it's just going to be a blowout. We'll see. Again, we'll see. But keep in mind, it doesn't matter what happens. It doesn't matter what happens. We did win. We did stop. We won the House, and we stopped Biden's legislative agenda. That's huge. Eric Echeverria, are the Republicans redistricting? Echeverria. Are the Republicans' redistricting map going to happen in North Carolina? Yes. With this new Supreme Court, yes. Also, do you feel we need to acknowledge we are pro-life, but we understand we have to work with the other half of the country and we'll push 16-week limit with exception? Yeah, absolutely. Again, pro-life countries are a spectrum. Pro-life countries are a spectrum. So there are some, particularly in Latin America, Middle East, Africa, that have absolute bans on abortion. There are some that limit the abortion very restricted to about like you say the first 16 weeks or so. You have to go through a medical panel and get approved. There's no abortion advertising, things like that. That's like Russia. Russia would be an example of that. Hungary, Poland, and then you have some that just is the 16 weeks the first trimester. I might be most in Europe, by the way, cut it off. Many people don't know that. Most in Europe, because it was decided legislatively, the issue of abortion. Most cut it off on the first trimester. And for 12, so first 12 weeks, first 12 weeks. So it's even more conservative than the 15 or 16 week Dobbs law in Mississippi. So there is a spectrum. It's not an all or nothing. It's not all. What holds pro-life nations together across the board is the notion that life is sacred and it should not be aborted or terminated at whim. That's insane. People don't just abort at whim for with no excuse or reason at all. That treats human life as inherently meaningless. And that's the key to all of this. The key to all of this is, does life has intrinsic value in the womb, regardless of what anyone else says, or does the life in the womb have no value apart from the value the birthing person, whatever you want to call them, the mother, gives to it? Does it have intrinsic value that's there regardless of whether anyone recognizes it or not, or is the value of the baby in the womb solely dependent on the value that the mother gives to it? You're having your baby, great. You're killing your baby, great. It's all relative. No pro-life nation holds to that. And by the way, we don't either. As a nation, by and large, we are pro-life. We believe that child has value, but the mother can still has a right to work some things out within the first trimester. Now, for those of us who are totally pro-life and that we don't accept that, granted. Are there inconsistencies with that? Granted. Sure, absolutely. But that's where we are. So I'm with you. But some states are going to go all the way, ban it completely. And some states are going to allow for that Dobbsian window there of 15, 16 weeks, or heartbeat, or when a heartbeat is detected, and the like, because there is a spectrum there. And you're right. I mean, but the insane kind of New York law and so forth, and Michigan, what this nut Gretchen Whitmer's trying to do, they're just wicked at this point. They're literally saying that the human being at the moment of conception, because it is a human zygote, the moment of conception has no inherent meaning or purpose or value or significance apart from when another person chooses to impart to it. That's pretty horrible stuff. All right. Robert John, Dr. Steve, we're going to have to wrap this up. Gosh, we've been going, gang. We're on fire. Robert John, Dr. Steve for office. You have my vote. There you go. What did Rush Limbaugh used to say? I don't want the pay cut. Oh, my. Aaron Steele. Someone told me that with DeSantis and Trump living in the same state that they couldn't run for. No, as I understand, that's not true. Again, Robert Barnes, the lawyer, said that's not the case. They can both run. Julius Gallery, mail-in ballot should send her to pay for stamp end. Yes, sure, absolutely. Tyler W. Timcast is great, but they're pushing DeSantis. Now, okay, I mean, they may, but as the data comes in, I think it's going to be harder to do that. Wafa Mufti, thank you so much. Life Wants to Live, thank you so much for the gift. Bridget Denise, I'm tired of Trump tantrums. DeSantis, oh, okay, well, we'll see, Bridget. Yeah, we'll see. Sorry, I need to write DeSantis 2024. I'm tired of the Trump tantrums. Well, a lot of the Trump tantrums are just that. And don't worry, DeSantis will get it too. He's gonna get a massive amount of pushback if he's the nominee from the left. Nick Marine Burnett, why are we just watching another election fraud happen in Arizona, Nevada? When we stand up, but the establishment doesn't care. They don't want it. They don't want it. They want to stay in power. They don't care who controls the Senate. Why are we are trying to stand up That's what the elections are for, and we're going to need in our next election, we are going to need to have a strategy to deal with the ballots and not just the votes. We dominate the vote. Look, think about it this way. We dominate the votes. We dominate election day. We're willing to stand in line and dominate, right? Whereas they dominate the ballots. So if we can dominate the votes and the ballots, we've got this. We'll be an undefeatable majority. UP shoot, I would love, a little umlaut there. I would love you to be on Timcast IRL and or call in Pat Gray's morning radio show to give your perspectives. God bless you, Brother Steve. Well, thank you, UP. Wolalos, I feel DeSantis is a Trojan horse. The Shapiro support limit means he's not good. We all know what flag Shapiro wave, and it's not the American one. Very good, Wolalos. I agree. Yeah, definitely. I think, again, also, too, a lot of people were so despondent over this election, but the way they kind of robbed us of the election night excitement, that they're just looking for some kind of silver lining, and DeSantis seems to be that. Goldie, this is about fraud, period. Talk about turnout, messaging, or anything else is a waste of time. Well, we'll see, Goldie. We'll have to see on that. I mean, I think it's absurd that Katie Hobbs is in charge of counting her opponent's votes. I think that is absurd. That's nuts. That's not fraud, but that is absurd. So we're going to have to see on that. We have to be careful not to fall back on on a crutch here. We need to have, in these next 2 years, we need to formulate a plan of action that can demonstrably overwhelm what the Democrats have put together in 2020 and 2022. In certain states, again, this is not, we don't have to worry about red states. Red states got redder on Tuesday. We have to worry these purple states and a couple of blue states that can easily flip if we get our act together. So that's what we're going to have to do. And we'll be talking a lot about that. That's something I want to focus a lot on the channel. Deathstroke. Not neo-Marxism, but post-Marxism, Frankfurt School and French deconstruction. I always call Frankfurt School neo-Marxism, but yeah, no problem. Nomenclature, be damned. Life wants to live. Thank you so much, sir. Jacob Harlow. I like what you do on here. Keep up the good work. I agree. This is the fault of the GOP establishment. Also, would you ever go on Timcast show? What is this? At the end, does Tim send me, hey, Steve, want to be on my show? That'd be great. Yeah, we'll have to do something on Timcast sometime. That'd be lovely. I don't think he's too far away. Where's Tim? Isn't he in New Jersey? I forget where he is. So I don't think he's too far away. I can come on out and see him. And then finally, Outlaw 4188. Ohio definitely had a red wave. Mike DeWine absolutely shifted. Cuyahoga County, a.k.a. Cleveland, by 20 points. I know that because the person who was saying that the night I was watching couldn't say Cuyahoga or Cuyahoga, however you say it, by 20 points. It was D plus 34. Wow. Now it's only D plus 14. Wow. Vance didn't do as well there. I wish he would have did better. Yes, absolutely. Again, we'll have to see why the rural vote didn't come out as much as it did, but Vance is in. J.D. Vance is a definite torchbearer for MAGA country. Eric Echevarria, why are there no efforts to push our values in the schools the way the libs did when life starts when a heartbeat is detected? Yeah, very, very good. Eric, the radicalization of our kids in our K-12 schools is one of the biggest crimes ever committed and perpetuated by Republican leadership. Republican leadership did nothing to stop that. Not anything whatsoever to stop the radical neo-Marxist indoctrination of our kids in K-12 at school. And now we're seeing, fortunately, we're all seeing it. Now we're seeing the school boards flip left and right. But I don't know if it was just the, again, establishment Republicans who were too worried to get involved in it or what. But this is stuff that's happening in Texas. It's been happening in Florida. Though, again, Ron DeSantis has been one of the few that stand up against it. It's been happening in North Carolina. It's been happening in Kentucky. It's been happening in Utah. You name it. It's happening in all kinds of places. And Republicans have allowed it to happen. We need a MAGA-based patriotic education system implemented in every single red state, bar none. Absolutely. And then when we get national power, it needs to be mandated from above. I think we it needs, at least until we grow up, we're going to have stuff, mandates like that pushed. Nick Keelman, what if we were to have a class action lawsuit of voters in one of the states sue over the mail-in ballots? Hopefully SCOTUS would eventually take it up and rule mail-in ballots in election month unconstitutional nationwide. We would have to try that. We would have to try. I'm a little nervous. You want federalism. You live by federalism. You die by federalism. We have a very federalist Supreme Court that is very, very, very hesitant to get involved in any election disputes. 2020 proved that. So they're basically going to say, work it out in your state. Don't bother us. So we'll have to see. But Nick, definitely, I'm up for anything. And finally, J.S. Claiborne, thank you, Dr. Turley, for a great message. Prosper, Texas. We love Texas, man. Remember, if worse comes to worse, there is always Texas. Dan Miller, a little shout out to Dan Miller for the Texas nationalist movement there. Guys, this has been a great live stream because of you. You have made it great. You're making America great again, making YouTube great again, making the channel great again. You guys are awesome. I love you. As things come up during the weekend, I'll make sure to do a quick vid from my porch or something like that. Oop, I'm seeing one coming in. Julius, I think I got this, Josh. Let's get you, Julius, here. Julius Gallery, thank you for making us feel better. Mississippi Senator, is it, Minnesota Senator is depressed? MS. What is MS? Hold on. I want to get that right. You guys probably know. You can tell me right away. Abbreviation. Yeah, Mississippi. What's going on? Mississippi Senator's depressed. I worked the election in Illinois, Maine. I don't know. I don't think you mean Mississippi, right? Because, maybe missing the Senate is depressed. Okay, I worked the election in Illinois. Main concern was democracy and jeopardy and abortion. I heard among voters, both English and Spanish. So I did do a video on that on Wednesday, that yes, it does turn out that Biden's message did resonate with some people, and it primarily in blue states, and that had them come out in some pretty significant numbers. Why? If they're trying to take away democracy, and what's the number one evidence for that? Roe v. Wade. Look at what they did to Roe v. Wade, and look at what they're going to do when they take power again. So yes, it did resonate with some, but not all. Like in New York, didn't resonate at all with them. Please shout out to Mastriano in Pennsylvania. Great guy. Love him. As Pennsylvania senator, he drastically attempted various bills for election reform in Pennsylvania, but was even removed as chairman of the committee by the Pennsylvania Republican elite. They're disgusting. Jake the Snake Corman and stuff, they're disgusting, all of them. The Republican elite in Pennsylvania should go the way of what happened to the Republican elite in Michigan. They got voted out of power. Democrats took over the Michigan legislature, and they should have. Because that Michigan legislature, Republican legislature, was a bunch of scaredy cat cowards. And they're scumbags, just like the Republican elite in Pennsylvania that backed Shapiro. They're absolute scaredy cat cowards. Here I thought I was going to go, and you guys got me going again. Guys, I will give you updates as they come along, but lots to be thankful for. Keep praying, holding our nation up, our movement up to God, and ask for his blessing. I love each and every one of you. God bless.